The stars looked different from the observation deck of the UES Defender. Admiral John Carter stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gray eyes scanning the darkness of space. 58 years old, with salt and pepper hair cut military, short, Carter had spent his life protecting Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this day. "Admiral, they're approaching," said Lieutenant Lisa Mitchell from her station. The young communications officer's fingers moved quickly across her console. At 32, Mitchell had a gift for languages that extended to the non-human variety. "The Zorlian vessel is twice the size of ours." Carter nodded. Humanity had prepared for this moment for decades. First contact with an advanced alien civilization. The Galactic Hegemony, they called themselves. A group of species united under the leadership of the Zorlians. Their scout ships had been detected at the edge of the solar system 3 weeks ago. "All hands to first contact stations," Carter ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Remember your training. We represent all of humanity today." The ship's officers took their positions. Dr. Alan Frost, the diplomatic advisor, stood next to Carter. Frost carried a small box containing gifts of peace, items selected to demonstrate human culture and technology. "They're hailing us, sir," Mitchell said. "I've decoded their transmission protocols." "On screen," Carter replied. The large display at the front of the bridge flickered to life. The face that appeared was not remotely human. The Zorlian commander had gray-blue skin stretched over a wide, flat face. 4 black eyes blinked independently of each other. When it spoke, a vertical mouth full of small teeth opened and closed, rapidly. "I am Supreme General Zaxvor of the Galactic Hegemony," the alien said, its words translated by Mitchell's communication system. "You will identify yourselves." Carter stepped forward. "I am Admiral John Carter of the United Earth Defense Fleet. On behalf of humanity, I extend greetings and friendship to the Galactic Hegemony." Zaxvor's upper eyes narrowed. "This system is now within hegemony space. Your species will be evaluated for placement within our order." Carter kept his diplomatic smile in place despite the coldness of the greeting. "We would be happy to establish diplomatic relations. Perhaps we could meet to discuss—" "You misunderstand," Zaxvor interrupted. "This is not a negotiation. Your technological development is primitive. You will be classified accordingly." Frost stepped forward. "Supreme General, we have prepared cultural exchanges to facilitate understanding between our peoples." The Zorlian made a sound that the translator didn't catch. It sounded like contempt. "You will prepare to receive a hegemony delegation aboard your vessel," Zaxvor said. "They will assess your species' utility." The screen went dark. "Well," Carter said quietly, "that could have gone better." "Sir," Mitchell called out, her voice urgent, "I'm picking up additional communications. The hegemony ship is sending coded transmissions to other vessels outside our system." "Can you decode them?" Carter asked. Mitchell's fingers flew across her console. "Working on it. Their encryption is complex, but there are patterns similar to what we've already broken." The bridge crew waited in tense silence. 20 minutes later, Mitchell looked up, her face pale. "Sir, you need to see this." Carter crossed to her station and read the decoded message. His jaw tightened. The message detailed hegemony plans for Earth. They weren't interested in diplomacy. Earth was to be classified as a resource world. Its minerals would be stripped, its water drained, its population used for labor until the planet was exhausted. Standard procedure, the message noted, for worlds with species at humanity's development level. "Inform the delegation team to be on high alert," Carter said quietly. "And prepare our engines for emergency departure. I want to be ready to move the instant I give the order." 6 hours later, the hegemony delegation boarded the Defender. 5 Zorlians, each wearing ornate armor that seemed as much ceremonial as functional, entered the ship's conference room. Carter and his team greeted them with practiced diplomacy. The lead Zorlian, Sub-Commander Krell, placed a device on the table. It projected a holographic document. "These are the terms of your world's integration into the hegemony," Krell said without preamble. "Your species will provide resource extraction labor. 20% of your population will be relocated to other hegemony worlds for specialized work. Your military forces will disband. Hegemony governors will replace your existing government structures. Carter read through the document, each line confirming what Mitchell had decoded earlier. These terms are unacceptable, Carter said evenly. Earth is not offering submission. We are offering peaceful cooperation between equals. Zorlian's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Equals? Your species has barely achieved basic space travel. You have no standing to negotiate. Nevertheless, we reject these terms, Carter replied. Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty. The Zorlians conferred among themselves in their native language. Mitchell, listening through her earpiece, suddenly stood. Admiral, there. The lead Zorlian reached for a weapon. Carter shouted a warning, but too late. Energy beams cut through 3 human officers before the ship's security team could respond. Chaos erupted in the conference room. Carter pulled Mitchell down behind a table as weapons fire crossed the room. The ship's security chief, Roy Bennett, managed to take down 2 of the Zorlians before falling himself. We need to get to the bridge, Carter shouted to Mitchell over the noise of the battle. They'll be attempting to take control of the ship. The 2 officers crawled toward the door as the remaining security team engaged the Zorlians. Making it to the corridor, they ran for the emergency shuttle bay. All hands, this is the Admiral, Carter said into his communicator as they ran. The hegemony delegates have attacked. This is not a drill. Implement security protocol Omega. Repeat, Omega. Throughout the ship, emergency bulkheads slammed into place, compartmentalizing the vessel to slow down the attackers. Carter and Mitchell reached the shuttle bay just as a massive explosion rocked the ship. They've fired on us, the tactical officer's voice came through the communicator. Main engines hit, weapon systems offline. Get as many people to the escape shuttles as possible, Carter ordered. And make sure the databanks are purged. The hegemony cannot get Earth's location or defense information. Mitchell prepped the shuttle as Carter helped 3 wounded crew members aboard. They were the last to make it. The small craft launched just as secondary explosions began tearing through the Defender. As they pulled away, they watched their ship break apart under the hegemony's weapons. Of the 16 shuttles that should have launched, Mitchell counted only 7. Set course for Earth, Carter said grimly. Maximum speed, we need to warn them. What about the other shuttles? Mitchell asked. Carter watched as the massive hegemony warship began moving to intercept the fleeing human craft. They'll try to follow the same protocol. We need to get home first. As their shuttle accelerated away, Carter looked at the stars once more. They still looked the same as they had that morning, but everything else had changed. Earth would soon face an enemy it was not prepared to fight. And John Carter would have to tell humanity that the galaxy was not a place of wonder and discovery. It was a place of danger and conquest. And Earth had just become the newest target of an empire that had never known defeat. 6 months had passed since the attack on the UES Defender. 6 months of hell on Earth. Major William Harrington crouched behind the burned-out shell of what had once been a grocery store. At 45, with a lean face weathered by combat, he had seen plenty of war before the aliens came. But nothing like this. They're moving the Harvester into position, whispered Sergeant Diana Kelly, peering through binoculars. Her once pristine uniform was now stained and torn, much like the remnants of human civilization around them. Harrington nodded. The massive alien machine crawled slowly down the main street of what used to be a peaceful Colorado town. The Harvester towered 5 stories high, its multiple appendages tearing into buildings, roads, and the Earth itself. Everything was fuel for the hegemony war machine. All teams in position? Harrington asked into his radio. Team Alpha ready, came a response. Team Beta in position. Team Charlie standing by. Harrington took a deep breath. Remember the plan. We hit the support crews, not the Harvester itself. We can't damage that thing with what we have, but we can slow it down. The Zorlian invasion had been swift and devastating. Within days of Admiral Carter's warning, alien ships had appeared in Earth's skies. Humanity fought back with everything. It had, but the technological gap was too great. Nuclear weapons barely scratched the hegemony shields. Conventional forces were vaporized. Within weeks, major cities were under alien control, but humans were stubborn. They refused to simply die. And so the resistance was born. "They're starting the perimeter sweep," Diana reported. 12 guards, standard pattern. Harrington checked his weapon. Once a standard military rifle, it now had alien power cells jerry-rigged to the firing mechanism, a modification that made it capable of penetrating Zorlian armor. The work of Dr. Catherine Sullivan and her team. "On my mark," Harrington said. 3, 2, 1, now. From 3 different positions, resistance fighters opened fire on the Zorlian guard detail. The aliens dropped quickly, taken by surprise. Before reinforcements could arrive, Harrington's team rushed forward. "Plant the charges," he ordered. 2 minutes, then we're gone. His fighters moved with practiced efficiency, placing explosive devices on the harvester's fuel lines and support equipment. Not enough to destroy the massive machine, but enough to put it out of commission for a while. "Major," Diana called out. "Dropship incoming." Harrington looked up to see an alien craft descending rapidly. "Fall back, move!" The team scattered as energy weapons fired from the dropship, scorching the earth where they had stood seconds before. Harrington ducked behind, a concrete barrier pulling Diana down beside him as debris rained around them. "All teams, report," he called into his radio. "Alpha clear, Beta clear, Charlie, we're pinned down, can't reach extraction point," Harrington swore under his breath. "Location? East side of the harvester. 3 Zorlian heavies blocking our path." Diana looked at Harrington. "Sir, the charges." Harrington checked his watch. 1 minute until detonation. "We can make it. Team Alpha and Beta. Continue to extraction." "Diana, with me." They moved through the ruins, staying low. The Zorlian dropship hovered above, searching for targets. Ahead, they could see 3 members of Team Charlie trapped behind a collapsed wall with heavily armored Zorlian troops closing in. "Create a diversion on the south side," Harrington told Diana. "I'll go around and hit them from behind." Diana nodded and moved away. 30 seconds later, she opened fire on the alien position from behind a distant car. The Zorlians turned toward the new threat, giving Harrington his opening. He moved silently behind the alien troops and fired his modified weapon. The first 2 Zorlians fell before they knew he was there. The third turned, raising its weapon, but Harrington was faster. "Move," he shouted to Team Charlie. 20 seconds to detonation." The resistance fighters ran for the extraction point, a network of sewers that the humans had mapped for quick escapes. Harrington covered their retreat, firing at the dropship to keep it at bay. With 10 seconds remaining, he dove into the sewer entrance. Diana pulled him in just as the charges detonated. The ground shook violently. The harvester didn't collapse, but its support systems erupted in flames and secondary explosions. "Everyone accounted for?" Harrington asked, catching his breath in the dim light of the tunnel. "All present," Diana confirmed. 2 wounded, but they'll make it. Harrington nodded. "Let's move 2 miles to the base." The resistance fighters moved through the underground network, away from the Zorlian forces that would soon swarm the area. Their hidden base was located in an old mining facility, deep enough to shield them from alien scanners. 2 hours later, Harrington stood before a map of North America, marking their latest strike. Around him, nearly 300 resistance fighters made up this cell, one of dozens around the world. "The harvester will be down for at least a week," Diana reported. "That buys the eastern settlement some time." Harrington nodded. "Small victories." That's all they had these days. A communications officer approached. "Sir, we've received a transmission from Dr. Sullivan. She wants to speak with you." Harrington moved to the secure communications room. The face of Catherine Sullivan appeared on a cracked monitor. The brilliant physicist looked exhausted, her brown hair streaked with premature gray, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "Major, we've had a breakthrough," she said without preamble. "We've been studying the shield technology from that scout ship you captured last month. There's a weakness, a frequency resonance that can disrupt their field cohesion." Harrington leaned forward. "You mean we can get through their shields?" "Potentially, yes. We need more components to build a prototype weapon. Specifically, We need control crystals from a Zorlian command post. Harrington rubbed his jaw, feeling the stubble of a beard he hadn't had time to shave. That won't be easy. Those posts are heavily guarded. I know what I'm asking, Sullivan said, but this could change everything. Imagine being able to hit them where it hurts. Before Harrington could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Diana rushed into the room. Sir, emergency transmission from Chicago Cell. The Zorlians have deployed a new weapon. They're calling it a purifier. Harrington turned back to the monitor. What is it? Sullivan's face had gone pale. From the data they're sending, it's atmospheric. It's designed to make our air unbreathable while preserving resources. They're testing it on Chicago, Diana added. Early reports say thousands are already dead. Harrington's fists clenched. How much time do we have? If they deploy these globally? Sullivan calculated quickly. 2 months, maybe less, before Earth's atmosphere is toxic to humans, but still usable for Zorlians. The room fell silent. 2 months before humanity's extinction. Dr. Sullivan, Harrington said finally, you'll get your control crystals, whatever it takes. He turned to Diana. Gather our best teams. We're going to hit the Denver command post. Tonight. As his officers moved to prepare, Harrington looked at the tattered American flag hanging on the wall of the base. 6 months ago, he had been a soldier fighting human enemies. Now he was fighting for the very survival of his species. And somewhere, above, beyond Earth's atmosphere, the Zorlian ships continued to arrive, bringing more harvesters, more troops, more weapons. To them, Earth was just another conquest, humans just another species to subjugate or eliminate. They had no idea what humans were willing to do when pushed to the edge of extinction. The small transport ship moved silently through the rings of Saturn, its hull specially designed to absorb radar and scanner signals. Inside, Admiral John Carter looked out at the icy particles drifting past the viewport. His shuttle had taken a long, winding path to reach this place, always staying hidden from Zorlian patrols. Coming up on Neptune Station now, sir, the pilot said. They've cleared us for approach. Carter nodded. After escaping the destruction of the Defender 7 months ago, he had gone underground, working with what remained of Earth's military leadership. What the Zorlians didn't know was that humanity had been planning for this day for longer than anyone would have guessed. As they approached Neptune's orbit, a massive structure slowly came into view. At first glance, it looked like just another small moon orbiting the distant planet. But as they drew closer, Carter could see the giant hangar doors built into its surface. Neptune Station requesting identification, came a voice over the comm. This is Admiral Carter. Authorization Sierra 9 Delta 7. There was a pause. Authorization confirmed. Welcome to Sanctuary, Admiral. The hangar doors slid open, revealing a cavernous space inside the hollowed-out moon. The transport eased inside and Carter felt a slight bump as they landed. When he stepped off the ship, a woman in a naval uniform was waiting. Vice Admiral Patricia Donovan stood straight and proud despite the dark circles under her eyes. John, she said, extending her hand. It's good to see you alive. Likewise, Patricia, Carter replied, shaking her hand firmly. How bad is it? Donovan's expression was grim. Earth is under full occupation. The Zorlians have established extraction facilities on every continent. Their atmospheric processors are working faster than we predicted. Our people have maybe 6 weeks left. Carter nodded. He had expected as much. And Project Safeguard? For the first time, Donovan smiled. That's something you need to see for yourself. Follow me. They took a transport through the interior of the station. Carter was impressed by the scale of the operation. Thousands of personnel moved purposefully through the halls and workstations. This wasn't just a base. It was a full military installation. How many people know about this place? Carter asked. Less than 10,000, Donovan replied. This station and the others like it were built over the past 15 years, ever since we detected the first anomalous signals from deep space. The world's governments pooled resources in secret. Only the highest-ranking officials knew. They arrived at a large observation deck. Donovan pressed her hand against a scanner and a massive blast shield began to rise. Admiral Carter, she said formally, welcome to humanity's last hope. As the shield lifted completely, Carter stood in stunned silence. Before him stretched an enormous construction bay at least 5 miles long, and within it floated warships, dozens of them, large, sleek vessels unlike any he had seen before. This is just one of 6 similar facilities throughout the outer solar system, Donovan explained. Project Safeguard has been building these ships for over a decade. How many? Carter asked, his voice barely above a whisper. 217 combat-ready vessels, Donovan replied, plus support ships and carriers. Carter turned to her. The Zorlians have thousands. Yes, Donovan nodded, but ours are different. Chief Engineer Alan Rodriguez designed them based on principles the aliens won't be familiar with. As if on cue, a man in his late 40s approached. Alan Rodriguez had a thick beard and calloused hands that spoke of years of hands-on work. Admiral Carter, he said, shaking Carter's hand. It's an honor to meet you. Tell me about these ships, Carter said. Rodriguez gestured toward the fleet. The Zorlians rely on energy shields and directed energy weapons. Our ships use a different approach. We've developed layered kinetic armor that can absorb energy blasts. Our main weapons are railguns and missile systems that the Zorlian shields aren't designed to stop. Carter processed this information. You're saying we might actually stand a chance? A fighting chance, Rodriguez corrected. And we just received data from Earth that might improve our odds further. He led Carter and Donovan to a nearby tactical room. A woman in her 30s was working at a display table. Commander Samantha Wright, Donovan introduced her. Our chief tactical officer. Wright nodded to Carter. Admiral, we received a data packet from Dr. Sullivan's team on Earth. They've identified a weakness in Zorlian shield systems and developed a frequency disruptor that can create temporary gaps. She pulled up a simulation showing a Zorlian warship. If we can modify our weapons to deliver the disruption frequency before impact, we can hit them where they're vulnerable. Carter studied the simulation. How long to implement this? 3 days to modify the first squadron. Rodriguez replied. We don't have time to wait for the perfect solution, Carter said. Earth is running out of time. Donovan nodded in agreement. We're already bringing the fleet to combat readiness. The question is, where do we strike first? Commander Wright activated a holographic display of the solar system. The Zorlians have established their main command center in Earth orbit. They've also set up resource processing stations around Mars and Venus. Their supply lines run from these points back to their fleet staging area beyond Pluto. Carter studied the display, decades of military experience guiding his thinking. We hit their supply lines first. Surgeon strikes in and out, make them think we're just a nuisance. Then when they adjust their patrols, we hit something bigger. Mars processing station, Wright suggested. It's valuable but not as heavily defended as Earth. Meanwhile, Rodriguez added, we continue upgrading the fleet with Sullivan's shield disruption technology. Carter nodded. How soon can we launch the first operation? 48 hours, Donovan replied. We've been preparing for months, just waiting for the right moment. Carter looked back at the fleet through the observation window. 200 ships against an empire. It seemed impossible. But humans had a long history of doing the impossible. We need to contact Major Harrington's resistance on Earth, Carter said. Coordinate our attacks with ground operations. Donovan nodded. We have secure channels, limited but functional. Good, Carter said. When we strike, we need to hit them from all sides. As the officers continued planning, Carter walked to the edge of the observation deck looking out at humanity's secret fleet. For months, the people of Earth had suffered under Zorlian occupation, believing they were alone in the fight. They didn't know that out here, in the distant reaches of the solar system, humanity had been preparing for this moment. The Zorlians believed they had conquered Earth. They thought humans were just another primitive species to be harvested and discarded. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In 2 days, Operation Thunderstrike would launch. The first step in humanity's counterattack. Carter didn't know if they would win this war. The odds were overwhelmingly against them. But as he looked at the ships floating in the construction bay, vessels built in secret, crewed by men and women willing to risk everything, he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. The Zorlians had no idea what was coming. Humanity's hidden fleet was about to emerge from the shadows, and the Empire's worst nightmare was about to begin. Captain Daniel Reed sat in the commander's chair of the UES Defiance, his hands steady despite the weight of the moment. At 38, Reed had never expected to lead humanity's first strike against an alien empire. Yet here he was, commanding a squadron of 10 ships on the edge of the asteroid belt, waiting for the signal to attack. "All ships report ready, Captain," his first officer, Lieutenant Grace Howard, said from her station. The bridge was quiet, everyone focused on their tasks. Reed nodded. "Remind all commanders, we hit hard and fast. No heroics. The mission is to destroy the supply convoy and return to base." "Yes, sir," Howard replied. "Zorlian convoy approaching detection range. 5 minutes to optimal intercept." Reed activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, battle stations, this is not a drill." Throughout the Defiance, crew members moved with purpose. Unlike the sleek, glowing bridges of science fiction, the human warship's command center was practical and sturdy. Screens displayed tactical information, and heavily armored shutters covered the few viewports. "Captain," the communications officer called out. "Incoming message from Admiral Carter." The main screen displayed Carter's face. "Captain Reed, you are authorized to commence Operation Thunderstrike. Good hunting." "Understood, Admiral," Reed replied. "We won't let you down." The screen returned to tactical display. Reed could see the Zorlian convoy, 6 large cargo vessels protected by 4 warships. The aliens had no idea they were being watched. "Weapons status?" Reed asked. "Rail cannons charged and ready," the weapons officer reported. "Shield disruptor frequencies set." Reed took a deep breath. This would be humanity's first offensive action since the invasion. "Attack pattern Delta, execute." The 10 human ships accelerated toward the Zorlian convoy, engines burning hot. They maintained electromagnetic silence until the last possible moment. Then, "All ships, fire disruptors," Reed ordered. The human vessels fired specialized energy pulses at the Zorlian ships. The effect was immediate. Flickering patches appeared in the alien shields. "Rail cannons, fire!" Massive slugs of dense metal shot from the human ships at incredible speed. Where they hit the weakened Zorlian shields, they punched through, slamming into the hulls beneath. 2 alien escort ships suffered immediate catastrophic damage. The Zorlians, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to respond. Their energy weapons fired back, but the human ships were already executing evasive maneuvers. "Direct hit on Cargo Vessel 1, Howard reported. "It's breaking apart." "Cargo, Vessel 2 taking heavy damage." On the tactical display, Reed could see the battle unfolding. His ships were performing perfectly, staying out of the Zorlians' firing solutions while delivering precise strikes. "Sir," the sensor officer called out. "Zorlian reinforcements detected. 3 heavy cruisers, 7 minutes out." Reed nodded. The plan had accounted for this. "All ships continue attack pattern. Focus fire on remaining cargo vessels." The human squadron pressed their attack. One by one, the Zorlian supply ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining escort vessels fought back desperately, but they were outmatched by human tactics and the unexpected shield disruption technology. 5 minutes until reinforcements arrive, Howard warned. Reed studied the tactical display. They had accomplished their primary objective. The supply convoy was destroyed. Now came the most dangerous part. All ships, prepare to disengage. Execute scatter pattern Omega. The human vessels broke formation, each taking a different escape vector, as planned. The maneuver was designed to force the Zorlians to split their pursuit forces. "Sir, the UES Courageous is hit," Howard reported. "Engine damage, they're losing speed." Reed's jaw tightened. "Direct lightning squadron to provide cover. We're not leaving anyone behind." 2 human ships broke off to protect the damaged vessel. Reed watched as they positioned themselves between the Courageous and the Zorlian attackers. Reinforcements arriving in 1 minute. the sensor officer announced. Reed made a quick decision. Direct course change. The Defiance will join Lightning Squadron. We'll buy the Courageous time to restart their engines. The bridge crew exchanged glances but moved to comply without hesitation. The Defiance turned and accelerated toward the 3 embattled human ships. Weapons, target the lead Zorlian vessel. Fire everything we've got. The Defiance shuddered as it unleashed its full arsenal. Rail cannon slugs punched through the Zorlian ship's weakened shields, followed by a barrage of missiles. The alien vessel listed to one side, its weapons going dark. Sir, Courageous reports engines back online at 60%. Reed nodded. All ships disengage now. Maximum speed to rendezvous point Alpha. The human ships turned and accelerated away just as the Zorlian reinforcements arrived. A few energy blasts struck the Defiance's rear armor, but the damage was minimal. 20 minutes later, Reed's squadron had escaped pursuit. They regrouped at the designated coordinates, hidden within a dense asteroid field. Damage report? Reed asked. The Courageous has sustained significant engine damage but remains operational, Howard replied. All other ships report minor damage only. No casualties. Reed allowed himself a small smile. Open a channel to all ships. When the connection was established, he spoke clearly. This is Captain Reed. Today, we struck the first blow in humanity's counterattack. Every one of you performed exactly as trained. We destroyed an entire Zorlian supply convoy with minimal damage to our own forces. The enemy now knows we can hurt them. And this is just the beginning. 12 hours later, Reed's squadron returned to Neptune Station. As he stepped off the Defiance, Admiral Carter was waiting. Excellent work, Captain, Carter said, shaking Reed's hand. Your strike has already had an impact. The Zorlians are scrambling to adjust their patrol patterns. Reed nodded. How did the other operations go? Just as well as yours, Carter replied. We hit 3 separate supply lines simultaneously. The enemy is confused. They don't know where we came from, or how many ships we have. They walked together toward the command center. What's next, sir? Reed asked. Phase 2 begins tomorrow, Carter said. While they're distracted with protecting their supply lines, we hit the Mars processing station. Commander Wright is leading that operation. And the ground forces? Major Harrington's resistance fighters attacked 3 atmospheric processors during our operation. They managed to destroy one completely. As they entered the command center, Reed saw the larger strategic display. Small blue markers showed human ships and resistance cells. Red markers indicated Zorlian forces and installations. There were far more red than blue, but the balance had shifted slightly. One more thing, Carter added. We're picking up unusual communications among the hegemony fleet. It seems our attacks have caught the attention of their high command. They're bringing in additional forces. Reed frowned. That's not good news. Actually, it might be, Carter replied. They're pulling ships from other conquered systems. And, according to our intelligence, some of those systems are using the opportunity to rebel. Reed's eyes widened. You mean, we're not alone in fighting the hegemony, Carter confirmed. Other species that were conquered before us are watching what we're doing, and some are deciding to follow our example. For the first time since the invasion began, Reed felt something more than just determination. He felt genuine hope. Humanity's surprise attacks had done more than just damage enemy ships. They had shown the galaxy that the seemingly invincible hegemony could be hurt in the observation lounge overlooking the fleet. Carter and Reed watched as ships were repaired and resupplied. Crews worked tirelessly, preparing for the next phase of operations. The Zorlians thought they had broken us, Carter said quietly. They expected us to surrender like so many other species before us. They never anticipated this. Reed nodded. They still outnumber us. The fight ahead will be brutal. Yes, Carter agreed. But now they know what they're facing. Humanity doesn't give up. And we're just getting started. Across the solar system, the hidden human fleet continued to emerge from secret bases. The counterattack had begun, and on the Zorlian command ships, for the first time in centuries, a word was being spoken that had not been needed before. Fear. 3 weeks after Operation Thunderstrike, the entire human fleet gathered in the space beyond Pluto's orbit. 217 warships, plus support vessels, formed the largest human armada ever assembled. Each ship was crewed by men and women who had trained for years in secret, preparing for this very moment. On the bridge of the flagship UES Reckoning, newly promoted Fleet Admiral John Carter looked at the tactical display. The time for small strikes and guerrilla tactics was over. Today, humanity would make its stand. All ship commanders report ready, Admiral, Vice Admiral Patricia Donovan said, standing beside him. The fleet is in formation. Carter nodded. And the ground forces? Major Harrington's resistance cells are in position worldwide. They're ready to strike when we begin our attack. The plan was bold, perhaps even foolish, but Earth was running out of time. The Zorlian atmospheric processors had already made large parts of the planet uninhabitable for humans. This would be their one chance to save their homeworld. Open a channel to all ships, Carter ordered. When the communications officer nodded, Carter straightened his uniform and spoke clearly. This is Fleet Admiral Carter to all ships. Today we fight not just for our survival, but for our right to exist as free people. The Zorlians believe we are just another species to conquer. Today we prove them wrong. He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew. Every one of them knew the odds they faced. Our plan is called Solar Hammer. We will use the sun's gravity to accelerate our fleet along a vector the enemy won't expect. Dr. Sullivan's shield disruption technology has been upgraded and installed on all ships. Major Harrington's forces on Earth will attack the atmospheric processors simultaneously with our arrival. Another pause. I won't lie to you. The Zorlians still outnumber us. This will be the hardest fight humanity has ever faced. But we have something they don't understand. The absolute refusal to submit to tyranny. Today we take back our home. Good luck to you all. Carter out. The human fleet began moving, accelerating toward the sun in what appeared to be a retreat. Zorlian, scouts monitoring the outer solar system, reported the movement, but their commanders were confused by the humans' direction. It seemed like a desperate move, not an attack. On the Reckoning, Commander Samantha Wright monitored the fleet's approach toward the sun. Beginning solar slingshot maneuver in 5 minutes. The human ships approached the sun at high speed, their heat shields tested to their limits. As they swung around the massive gravity well, their velocity increased dramatically. Slingshot complete, Wright announced. Fleet acceleration at 120% of projected values. We'll reach Earth in 47 minutes. Carter nodded. Send the signal to Major Harrington and alert our allies. During the weeks of hit-and-run attacks, humanity had made contact with other species oppressed by the hegemony. Many had promised to rise up when humans launched their main assault. Now it was time to see if they would keep their word. The human fleet rocketed toward Earth faster than any Zorlian patrol could intercept. By the time the hegemony commanders realized what was happening, the human ships were already entering Earth orbit, and they found chaos waiting for them. Major Harrington's forces had struck every Zorlian facility on the planet simultaneously. The atmospheric processors were under attack, and in orbit the Zorlian defense fleet was in disarray as ships from 3 formerly subjugated species, the Tellarites, the Varna, and the Dresh, had launched their own surprise attacks from within the hegemony ranks. We have confirmed attacks against Zorlian forces in 27 star systems, Donovan reported, reading incoming data. The rebellions have begun. Carter allowed himself a brief smile before focusing on the battle at hand. Deploy the fleet. In attack pattern avalanche. Target their command ships first. The human fleet split into 3 attack groups. The first, led by Captain Reed, engaged the Zorlian defense platforms. The second, under Commander Wright, targeted the hegemony flagship. The third, commanded by Carter himself, moved to support the rebel alien vessels. The space around Earth erupted in battle. Zorlian energy weapons flashed against the darkness, while human railguns sent hypervelocity projectiles tearing through alien shields. Ships on both sides took damage. Some exploded in silent bursts of light and debris. On the Reckoning's bridge, alerts sounded as the ship shook from a direct hit. Port armor down to 30%, the damage control officer reported. Stay on course, Carter ordered. All weapons, target the Zorlian flagship. The Reckoning's main railguns fired in sequence, the shield disruptors creating openings for the projectiles to strike the massive Zorlian vessel. Explosions blossomed along its hull. "Admiral," Donovan called out, "Dr. Sullivan's team has activated the ground-based disruptor." This was the secret weapon they had been waiting for. From a hidden facility in Antarctica, Sullivan's team activated a massive device designed to disrupt not just Zorlian shields, but their telepathic command network. The effect was immediate. Across the battlefield, Zorlian ships began to lose coordination. "Now," Carter ordered. "All ships, press the attack." The human fleet surged forward, striking the confused alien vessels with precision. On Earth, Harrington's forces reported similar success as Zorlian ground troops lost cohesion. 3 hours of intense battle followed. Human ships took heavy damage. 15 were lost completely. But the Zorlian losses were far greater. Their command structure shattered, their ships picked off one by one, the once mighty hegemony fleet began to retreat. And then, silence fell across the battlefield. The Zorlian flagship, its hull breached in a dozen places, hung motionless in orbit. "We're receiving a transmission from the Zorlian command ship," the communications officer reported. "On screen," Carter ordered. The image of High Counselor Vex Maul appeared. The Zorlian leader's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of stress in their species. "This is unprecedented," Vex Maul said, its translated voice lacking the usual arrogance. "No species has ever repelled a full hegemony invasion force." Carter stood tall. "We're not just any species, Counselor. We're humans. And we're giving you one chance to end this. Withdraw all your forces from our solar system. Recognize Earth and humanity as sovereign and free. Stop your attacks on all rebelling worlds." "Or what?" the Zorlian asked. Carter's voice was cold. "Or we continue what we started today. Your empire is facing rebellions on dozens of worlds. Your fleets are scattered. And now everyone knows you can be defeated." The Zorlian was silent for a long moment. "The hegemony has existed for 10,000 years. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. And today you failed to conquer one more," Carter replied. "Make your choice, Counselor." Another long pause. "We will withdraw from Earth space. A formal ceasefire will be established. But know this, human. The hegemony does not forget." The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Reckoning, the crew remained silent until Donovan spoke. "Can we trust them?" "No," Carter said honestly. "They'll be back, with more ships and new tactics. But we've won ourselves time. And we've shown the galaxy that the hegemony isn't invincible." He looked out at Earth below, parts of its atmosphere still clouded by Zorlian processors, but already beginning to clear as Harrington's forces shut them down. "Send word to all ships and ground forces," Carter ordered. "Earth is ours again." Across the solar system, humanity celebrated its first victory. They had faced extinction and fought back against impossible odds. The battle for survival had been won, but Carter knew the war was just beginning. As the Zorlian ships retreated from Earth orbit, Carter stood on the observation deck of the Reckoning. Beside him were the officers who had helped make this victory possible: Donovan, Wright, Reed, and dozens of others. "What now, Admiral?" Reed asked. Carter watched as the last enemy ships disappeared into the darkness of space. "Now we rebuild. We strengthen our fleet, we forge alliances with other free species. And we prepare." "For what?" Wright asked, though she already knew the answer. Carter's eyes remained fixed on the stars. "For the day the hegemony returns. And when they do, they'll find that humanity is ready." Behind them, Earth continued its eternal spin, scarred but unbroken. And above it, humanity's Armada stood watch, no longer hidden, no longer afraid. The Empire's worst nightmare had only just begun.